Okay, so let's take a look. So just a few kind of basic ideas that we'll be using to do this kind of arrangement and to see how you can make this kind of arrangement. So the first is taking the melody. So get what the melody is, and then we're going to add in some bass notes or just a few of the lower notes, chord tones from the chord. And that's basically it. That's kind of what it amounts to. So in the intro, the main idea, you could think of it as the melody, but it's not quite the melody. It's not the singing part yet, but it's the kind of what's iconic in the song. Okay, so that's the main idea. So we want that to stand out. So then let's just add in some bass notes from each of those chords. So the first chord is a G chord. So let's just add in that bass note, the lowest note of the G chord. So if we're doing, we can add in the G chord lowest bass note on the sixth string. And then the next chord is the E minor. So we know that what's happening in the idea, the main idea is this. So we can just add in the bass notes on that chord too. So since it's an E chord, E minor chord, we can add in the lowest note of that chord, sixth string open. Then on the next chord, or the next part of the intro, it's a C chord. And so what the main idea is doing is this. So since that's the lowest part of the chord already, this idea is already in the lowest notes of the chord, of the C chord. This time let's add in some higher notes of the chord. Let's add in the third and second strings. So we can do, and that kind of changes it up a little bit. And then the next bar is on a D chord. D is the chord. And then the idea is going. So again, since that's already the lowest note of the chord, that's the lowest note of a D chord, let's add in two higher strings or higher notes from the chord. So just like on the C chord part, so we just add in two higher notes. And then the next part is just like before, we can add the lowest note of the G chord. Okay, so that's the intro. So that's the basic idea. You take the melody, then you're going to take the notes of the chord and just add them in a simple way. And let's take a look at doing a little bit of that on the verse. So the melody on the verse is. Let's just look at that part so far. So now we're on the G chord part. This is the G chord. So it comes there. So let's see what we can do now. So now that we're in the verse and this is the melody, we want a little bit more accompaniment, we can do with this common accompaniment style, which is just the alternating bass. So we're on a G chord, and you're just going 6, 4, 6, 6, 4, 6, just playing some of those bass notes in the G chord. So we'll add that with the melody. So the melody is. So let's add that with that. And you're going to have. Okay, so that's a simple way to do it. Just do an alternating bass. This next idea, we're going to do a walking bass line. So we're going from a G chord to an E minor chord. So the notes of the G chord is this G on the 3rd fret, and on the E minor chord is the open string. So in between those is this F sharp. So let's add that as the walking bass line. So we just ended on. Now we can go. We get to the E minor. So let's put that all together. Okay, so that leads it right into the E minor. And then we have the melody. So since the melody is kind of emotive and standing out in that part, we want to let the bass or the accompaniment stay in the background a little bit, not be too complicated. So we can just let that 6th string ring out. So we got some accompaniment, we got some harmony going in the background, but it's mainly the melody that you can hear. And then in the next bar, it's still the E minor chord, but we can go back to that alternating bass. So it's still the E minor chord, but now we're just using, so now we're using notes from the E minor, but just that alternating bass, 6, 4, 6. So if we do those 2 bars, and then the melody is, that's the next part of the melody. That leads us into the C chord. So we got, that's the melody on the C chord part coming up. Da, 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 da. So since that's going to be with the C chord, let's do, so all we did there is the melody is the same, but we just added a bass note, first and third beats. Just kind of keep it ringing out and got some background, but it's still kind of simple. So we have, now we'll do the same thing on the next bar with the D chord. So the melody is da da da, and the accompaniment will just do the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bass. So same idea as on the C chord. The melody is the same almost, same kind of rhythm, and then the accompaniment is the same. We're just doing the bass note of the chord, first and third beats. So you can hear that the bass is going. See if you can hear that. Let's do it one more time. And then to end it, the melody just ends on, so that's where the melody ends. So we just go back to that alternating bass on the G chord. 6, 4, 6. So you got. All right, so let's put that verse all together. So we have alternating bass, walk down, alternating bass, keeping it simple, and then alternating bass. So all that we're doing there, you can hear this is the accompaniment the whole time. So that's the bass accompaniment the whole time. So it's pretty basic and simple. Just those couple of different ideas: alternating, a walk down, alternating, and then just the bass note and a simple rhythm. So we just add those things in with the actual melody. And on their own, they sound okay, but when you put them together, you can hear them both. So go ahead and grab one of your favorite songs and find the melody, choose an accompaniment, put it together, and see what you can do.